A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Jennifer Hedaya, Executive Director of Air Alliance Houston, David Branham, Professor of Political Science at the University of Houston downtown, and Charles Kuffner, who writes the Off the Cuff political blog. Jennifer, David, Charles, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Craig.
Thank you.
Panel, the Chronicle of Philanthropy's annual list of America's 50 most philanthropic couples includes 3 Houston area couples, Laura and John Arnold, Nancy and Rich Kinder, and Kathy and George Bishop. As the Houston Chronicle's Amber Elliott reported Tuesday, in 2023, the Kinders donated more than $55 million to the foundation bearing their name. The Arnolds donated $483.6 million to various foundations last year, and the Bishops, who live in the Woodlands, donated $100 million for scholarships to Mississippi State University. They and the 47 others on this list gave in total more than $11.9 billion to nonprofit organizations and causes in 2023. Number 1 on the list, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who gave away more than $3 billion to causes supporting the arts, education, the environment, and public health. A new list of America's most philanthropic couples features 3 from the Houston area. Is this good, bad, or ugly? David Branham, start us off.
I can't figure out a possible way this could be ugly. This is really good that this is happening in our area, and that we're getting such a big investment in philanthropy in the Houston area. The only way that it could be less than good, it's actually great, less than great, would be for the money not to be well spent. So I would go to hoping that this money is used to make an incredible impact on our community. I direct a Master's in Nonprofit Management program, and one of our faculty members is Brian Green from Houston Food Bank. When we started the degree, he came in, it was in 2011, and he basically said, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. And I sit there and took notes and did everything I could to listen to what he was saying. And at the end, I asked, okay, well, here's the ask. Will you teach in our program? And he says, yeah, I'll teach your management class. And so here's a guy who turned the Houston Food Bank into the world's largest food bank. I asked him, why would you do this for us? We're very appreciative, because he said, I hate it that people mismanage their nonprofits. These are people who have good hearts, who have an idea what they want to do for their life, but they don't know what to do when it really comes to making sure that your dollars have an incredible impact. The gift we got from Brian Green was that he taught our management classes for 11 years now, and he is an expert in making sure that these dollars have high impact. That's my wish going forward. I'm very glad that we've got these investors in our community, and I'm hopeful that these dollars will have high impact.
All right, good, bad, or ugly, Charles Kuffner.
I mean, it's good. I agree. It's hard to see how, unless all this money is going to bad nonprofits, it's hard to see how it's anything but good. You know, I'm one of those weirdos who you give me a number-based article or factlet or whatnot, and what I want most of all, what I want first and foremost is more context to it. I mean, I understand this is just a list of top 50, but surely we can extend this exercise out to like all of the billionaires. So I would like to know where Houston ranks in terms of its overall billionaire charitable performance. Like, how much per billionaire are they giving on an annual basis, and how does Houston stack up against other cities and their billionaires? Like, how many billionaires are giving at a level of $1 million a year, or what percentage of our billionaires are doing that, and what overall is the average? I mean, we've got obviously 3 that really pull their weight, but maybe every other billionaire in this town is a laggard. I want to know more, is what I'm saying, and I want all those statistics in a nice, easy, sortable database for me to look at, and I'm willing to bet if someone does that not only will it be interesting and worthwhile to look at, but also that we, the city of Houston, will have done better than Dallas.
All right. Houston area billionaires, please send all of your data to Charles Kuffner, care of Off the Cuff political blog. Good, bad, or ugly, Jen Hedaya.
So I am a non-expert in the world of billionairism, clearly. But like my panelist, I do have some expertise in what it means to benefit from billionaire philanthropy. I am the executive director of a small nonprofit here in Houston, and I can tell you there is no way that we could do our work without private philanthropy. In full disclosure, my organization is currently funded by one of the people on the top 10, not one of the Houstonians, though, yet. And who knows? Maybe today is the day I get that call. But the fact that 3 of these top 10 philanthropists are from Houston, working in Houston, and know the challenges we are facing here is a good thing for charitable causes in Houston and for those who ultimately benefit from charitable and public work. So all around a good story. I do think, though, if we wanted to, you were asking how could the story be ugly? I think we could dig into whether the existence of billionaires at all is good, bad, or ugly.
Ooh, it got spicy in here.
Yeah, there's a growing wealth chasm in America, and I think it's warranted that we've been grappling as a society with the ethics of even having a 1%, regardless of what they do with their money. So, for example, right now, Harris County is trying to implement a universal basic income program for our most under-resourced families, and this is being challenged at a state level as unconstitutional, as essentially un-American. So for me, stories like this also raise up the essential push-pull we have between capitalism and redistributing wealth. And I think I'll stop there.
Otherwise, we might go on for a couple hours.
I know. It will be a very different good, bad, and ugly.
In answering the question, should we have billionaires, just one clarifying point, am I one of the billionaires?
Well, are you on the top 10 list, Craig?
And would you give some of your billions to Houston Air Alliance?
There you go.
Okay. Now I understand where this is going. Panel, just how improbable was the Houston Astros American League West Division crown this season? According to the Athletics' Chandler Rome, since baseball expanded to 162 games more than 60 years ago, 25 other teams started their season 7-19. None of them made the playoffs. As Rome notes, since that abysmal start, the Astros had the American League's best record. That turnaround came despite massive sustained injuries, complete turnover in the starting rotation, and the Astros still trailing by 10 games nearly halfway through the season. For the 4th straight year, the Astros are division champs, and this season they sure did it the hard way. Is this good, bad, or ugly, Charles?
Well, obviously it's good for the Astros and their fans. Again, to put things in context, because that's the kind of person I am. You may not be aware of this, Craig, but the baseball season is long. Teams play a lot of games.
I've noticed.
Yes. And, over the course of a season, there's always going to be some large variation in performance from day to day, week to week, month to month even. That's just the nature of the beast. Normally over the course of a season, a team or a player's hot streak or cold streak, once you're into the season, you've got some number of games played, it's less noticeable overall. I mean, you may see it as it's happening, but the overall performance is still about where you would expect it to be. It's when stuff like this happens at the beginning of the season, where there's nothing that's come before it, and you don't know what to expect going forward, that this sort of thing really stands out. I mean, for example, the Yankees, who are now like one of the 2 top seeds in the American League, they had a stretch in June and July where they went 10-23. But it's all within the context of the bigger season. They had a good start, so they never fell out of contention or anything. But if you can imagine what it would be like if they had started the season that way. The Astros overall, they were expected to be a good team. They were a good team. It just happened that they started slowly, and everyone wondered if the perception was wrong. And then everything reverted back to the norm, and here they are. They should be happy with that. They should be very proud of it. I mean, it is impressive. But because it happened up front, where there was nothing else to look at, it stands out more.
Who do you root for, by the way?
Does it even matter?
Not Dallas.
Think possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, not Dallas.
The Yankees, by any chance?
My point is, they had a bad stretch too.
This is
and
called
again,
Houston Matters.
Who else knew that the Yankees went 10-23 in the middle of the season?
And for better or worse, if they had started the season that way, none of us would be able to escape that fact.
That's true. All right. Good, bad, or ugly, Jen?
Okay, so first I have a complaint. I went to the game on Monday, and it was ugly. Almost as ugly as those Space City jerseys, which is actually my theory about why they lost. I think those jerseys are just bad luck, and I'm glad they're dead and gone. So I will remain forever frustrated that I missed watching this winning game by one day. I could have been there on Tuesday night. I should have been there on Tuesday night. But with that out of my system, okay, so yes, obviously clinching the championship is a good story. In fact, it's a great story anytime the home team wins, no matter how unconventional that path may have been. But to wax philosophical for a moment, if you will, all of the trials and tribulations that you mentioned, Craig, in your introduction, the injuries, the rotations, the early losses, the first season we've had without our beloved Dusty Baker, are things the team rallied back from. They overcame, they bounced back. And isn't that a metaphor for Houston this year, too? I can't help but think back to the World Series win after Harvey, where it just felt like the right time and moment for the Astros to come out on top. This year, we had the derecho, we had the hurricane, we had a pipeline fire just last week, and we continue to bounce back and go forward. So I think this is, in some ways, the quintessential Houston story, and I wouldn't want the Astros to win any other way. And if their PR team is listening, I would recommend that next year's single-word slogan, the one they put on the banners and they put up on the big TV, should be the word resilient.
It's funny that Monday night you were watching the Astros and disappointed by, of course, the loss in the City Connect jerseys. Tuesday and Wednesday night, my niece Rebecca was in Chicago watching White Sox games, rooting for them to break the losingest record in baseball history, and they won both of those games.
Yeah, the spirit of the 62 Mets is strong.
Yeah, indeed. Good, bad, or ugly? David.
Obviously, it's good. I mean, we don't have the White Sox, so that's good too. And if you know anything about the 62 Mets, they were awful. So that just really tells you how bad the White Sox are. But the Astros are a special franchise. I remember back in 1968 when I was 7 years old, my dad got me to sit down and watch the World Series because it was Cardinals and Tigers. And my dad was a big Cardinals fan. He loved Bob Gibson. And so I watched that series, and I kind of fell in love with baseball. But I told my dad, I said, look, you're from Houston. I'm going to be an Astros fan. I lived in Southern California at the time. And so I said, I'm going to be an Astros fan. And my dad said, okay, be an Astros fan. So the next year, every day I would open the Press Enterprise from Riverside, California, and look at the box scores to see what the Astros did. And the Astros lose 20 of their first 24 games.
Oh, no.
And my dad's going, I wanted my son to be a baseball fan, but he picked this team that can't win a game, and he's just going to give up. But I didn't give up. I just kept looking and looking. And amazingly, they come back and won 60 of their next 91 and went from 12.5 down after 44 games to within a game and a half of the new NL West lead in August. It was just incredible for me to get up every day. I couldn't watch them on TV because I was in California. The only way I could see them is if the Dodgers were going to the Astrodome because they wouldn't show a local Dodger game. But I would watch those box scores every day. That's when I knew they were a special franchise, and they have not disappointed me for the last 55 years. They are a special franchise. Now, they have seasons where they're awful, but they always do something to make you understand that they're special. Just, looking at their history. I mean, Game 6 in 1986, I went to Game 6 against the Mets, and we lost that game. But it was just such an emotional thing for me to see my team in the NLCS. And now we've been in, 7 in a row, something like that. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember how many ALCSs we've been in. This is a special team. They don't disappoint me. This is a team I love because the players are somebody that, that I just admire. So I'm a big Astros fan. Is this good? This is great. They've shown, yes, resilience. That's a perfect word. Even when they had 5 starting pitchers on the DL, they were somehow able to turn it around and come back and win the division. So I'm very proud of them.
Across all those years, they never disappointed you?
They never disappointed me as a team. I mean, obviously, if you go back to the years before 2015, where they weren't good at all.
Yeah.
But then, even then, back to the first time when they did this in the 90s, they set a team out on the field that had Bagwell and Biggio and Ken Caminiti and Luis Gonzalez. I mean, they had players that you could root for all the time, and you knew that maybe they didn't turn around this year; they're going to turn around the next year.
I think
and it
he's
was
a fan.
always
Maybe
optimism. There was always
I love meeting
optimism
people
going
who
forward.
saw the Astros play at the Astrodome, though. Like, that's a unique group of us. And, I came of age with the Astros during the era of Jose Cruz. And so I will always remember that. It's a special place. It's a special experience.
I had season tickets in left field when Jose Cruz was there. I said hi to him every day. It was awesome.
Yankees fans been awfully quiet.
Did you want me to interrupt?
No.
I've seen a bunch. I saw a bunch of games in the Astrodome. Saw the
Yeah.
last game in the Astrodome. I mean, it's a historic place.
Yeah.
Not a great place to watch a baseball game, but an engineering and architectural marvel when it was built. Whatever you want to say about this year, their championship series streak, that's really impressive.
That is impressive. I've even lost count of the times in a row that they've been in the ALCS, 7 times in a row. That's just an amazing record.
We'll continue this conversation off air for the next 17 hours. In the meantime,
And we'll talk about wealth gap. Okay.
How is it I wound up on a panel with 3 baseball fans? Usually,
I don't know.
Usually, with these NPR types, there's at least one person in here who's like, well, I'm not really a sporty person, but...
all right, be kind. Charles Kuffner writes the off-the-cuff political blog. David Branham is a professor of political science at the University of Houston downtown. Jennifer Hedaya is executive director of Air Alliance Houston. Charles, David, Jennifer, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Go
Greg.
Astros.
Thanks, Greg.